but Mitch Trubisky, Nick Weiler, and Nas Jones are the players today.
All right, so we got a chance to evaluate the film, and we're able to get some of the things corrected, some of the mistakes we made, and I think our team realized that we were happy to get a win, but we're leaving a lot of things out on that football field, and we could put if we could get those things corrected and just make the ordinary plays, we could be a really, really good football team.
Does the sales pitch get tougher when you make those mistakes, leave that stuff out there and still win, or how does that work for you?
No, it doesn't get tougher. Because we've been saying the same thing, every single week, and so I would much rather do it with a win than I would with a loss. So, I mean, it's just, there's some simple things that we could get corrected that would make us a much better football team.
Obviously Elijah had the fumble there before halftime, but what were some of those other things that you think you left out there?
Well, we did, offensively, we didn't, it's third and short and then fourth and short, and we don't convert. That's unacceptable. There were some plays in the third quarter that we left out on the board that could have been 6 points for us if we just execute. And so, there were quite a few things actually on offense that we could have been much better at, much more efficient.
What about the other phases, defense?
Same thing. Defensively, I thought we held them to 14 points for the first 3 quarters of the game, which nobody else had done, up to that point. And so then we go back to just making some simple mistakes that we hadn't been making all game. We understood they were going to make some plays. They got some talented guys over there, but we felt like if we kept just playing and not making our mistakes, we'd be okay. And then in the fourth quarter, we made plenty of mistakes.
The roughing the punter penalty there in the third quarter, midway through, kept alive that drive.
Yeah.
They wind up scoring.
Yeah, that was a drive that was that we got a phantom safety.
Right. Was that a punt block that you would call?
It was.
How did that
Yeah.
transpire?
It was a punt block that we thought we could get the ball, get it off the edge, and we didn't execute it. So that's my responsibility because that's I coach that group.
What are the things that Mitch is doing that maybe you see that we wouldn't see that's allowing him to have the season that he's doing?
What are the things that I've seen?
Yeah, as far as stuff that we might not be able to pick up on.
Well, obviously I get to see him every day, and I've seen him every day for the last 3 years. So I think if you would ask any of our players, any of the coaches, they're telling you that Mitch is doing what he's done since he's been here, really. He has. If you think back to the times that he went out on the field and played, he was pretty dang good, in every one of those situations. And we put him in meaningful situations. And so now, you're just seeing him become more comfortable week after week after week. And he's just making the plays that he makes every day in practice.
He talks a lot about his vision, the importance of his vision and what he sees. And you've mentioned even earlier this year that sometimes maybe he could have thrown it here instead of there. Mm-hmm. How has his vision progressed in the last few weeks?
His eyes are in the right place. That's the key as you watch. And anytime there's a questionable decision, usually you can see that his head's not in the exact same place that we want it to be. But by far the majority of it now is his eyes are right where they need to be, and so he understands what he's doing.
Elijah didn't play in the second half. Is he going to be ready to full go on Saturday?
I expect him to, yes.
Mitch leads the nation in completion percentage, has not thrown an interception. Usually when you see a guy who hasn't thrown an interception, he's trying not to throw interceptions, but he's making the throws that you want him to make. How has his decision-making progressed?
Well, I think what he's done is he's kind of settled in and he's just staying within the system. And the system's designed to complete balls if you take it where the defense dictates. And I think he's done a really good job of that. And that's easier said than done, especially with the rush and all the different things that are happening. And I think he's done a really nice job with it.
We all made a big deal about how many teams you're playing with new coaches this season, but now that we're halfway through the season, do you have enough tape on Virginia Tech to kind of not have to go back to last year and to watch Memphis and to know what Justin does?
Yeah, I think so. I'd be lying to you if I told you we're not watching Memphis and we're not watching last year's game, and because we do. We're worried about leaving a stone unturned, so we probably overdo it. But yeah, we've got enough tape this year that we're focusing in on that.
You guys have during your tenure, you guys have won several games. I think it's now 6 where you've scored like in the last minute to win. do you, I mean, is it just composure? Is there something, a special intangible that goes with trying to close out a game that's kind of a frenetic finish?
Well, I mean, since we've gotten here, we've always, we've preached, finishing, and that's everything. In the off-season program, and everything we do is about finishing, and then we practice it. I mean, we really do. We practice. We spend a lot of time on 2-minute situations. We spend time on 4-minute situations. So, and I also think because of the nature of our offense and the way we run our offense, it's the guys just kind of, it's just what they do. So it's not, again, I make a big deal with our players about this. If you go back to that drive that, against the Pitt game, I mean, how many of those plays were extraordinary? I mean, think about it. It was just throwing, catching. It's what they do. Now, the situation, the atmosphere, and all the things on the outside. But, I mean, Switz has made thousands of catches for Mitch on that route in practice. I mean, Bug has caught that ball in the corner of the end zone thousands of times for Mitch over the summers, and I mean, so what I want everybody to, those are ordinary plays. If we make the ordinary plays, we've got a chance to be really, really good.
How do you describe the connection between Switzer and Mitch? Obviously, the roommates are.
Yeah, they came in together. They've been roommates. They know. They know unique things about each other, but they've been friends from the day they stepped foot on campus. And I think, Switz probably got off to an earlier start, just the position he plays and what he was able to do with the punt returns early on, and had a lot of success. And so, I think Switz probably is enjoying it more for Mitch now than he may be for himself, because I think he's wanted it for his friend for a long time.
How do you think it translates on the field in terms of, when Mitch needs to make a play, I'm sure he has kind of a
Sure,
mindset.
he knows that, I mean, he really feels that way with all those receivers because they've spent so much time together. But I think there's something with him and Switz just because they've been tight from day one.
I wanted to ask you back to the question about the late game stuff. You're saying it's ordinary, but a lot of guys struggle in that position at the end of a game to make that play.
And that's my point is for us, our guys think it's just make the routine plays. I mean, we haven't had to make any, acrobatic flipping catches or, anything, it's been just make the routine plays because they've done it so many times in practice as far as 2-minute situations against our defense, all through camp, numerous times during camp, and then every week we do it, and they know on Wednesday we're gonna go against our defense, we're gonna have a different situation that we're gonna have to come up with, and I'm gonna give it to them right before they go, and then they've got to figure it out. I mean, I got a new one now, 23 seconds on the clock, and 2 timeouts. So that's a new one to work in the future. I've never used that one, nowhere even close to that one. So those, but I think it's because they're comfortable in the situation because they've done it so many times.
Mitch talked about.
Is there a boost in confidence though, in the sense that you do
no
it 2
doubt.
straight weeks, or is it just sort of a reinforcement of?
No, I think it's
keep
a
it
boost in
simple?
confidence.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Mitch was talking about that the other night after the game. He went over all the different scenarios that you got, late game scenarios you go through. Do you do that more here than on staffs you worked on before when you were not the head coach?
Maybe so. Maybe so. I don't really remember it that much. Well, I can tell you this. As long as I was an offensive coordinator, I can say we worked it a lot. But again, it's because of the nature of what we do offensively. So however long ago that was now. But before that, I couldn't tell you.
Are you also saying then that because of that late game situation, a lot of teams sometimes speed up more than what they normally do? For you guys, you're pretty much your same pace, so it's not that different for you.
If you watch our guys and you notice them, there's no panic, there's no running around looking bewildered or overwhelmed. No, it's just they go about their business because it's what they do. They know getting lined up quick is something that you do. They know they got to get their eyes on the signal. I mean, because it's what we do every single play.
What is the point late in the game when you're deciding about how many more plays you might have given the time on the clock. But you have 4 seconds left.
Yeah, in the last probably, you know, I mean, every different scenario, I mean, and probably in around the last 8 minutes of a game, my mind is constantly going through all the different scenarios. I mean, just constantly, you know, and you know, how many more possessions are we gonna have? How many more possessions are they gonna have? Do we have, you know, have we done enough? Do we need to pull back? How aggressive do we need to be? All those things start running through my mind. It's somewhere around that 8 to 10, you know, minute mark, depending on what the scenario is in the game. And then, you know, like the other day, the one that I struggled with was, you know, when to use a timeout when the defense was on the field in that last series. That was the one that I was struggling with. I couldn't pinpoint a time that I should use that timeout.
If you would have had like 6 seconds left, you run another play there before you sent me.
You know what? 6 seconds probably would have. Yeah, probably would have. I mean, I knew what we would have run, and you know, felt pretty confident we could get 6 to 7 yards and get out of bounds. You know, so, but when it was 4 seconds, I mean, there were people suggesting that, but I just didn't. I didn't feel comfortable.
Do you know if Nick had kicked one from that deep, maybe in 2 minutes at some point?
Oh, wow. In his time here, probably, you know, I don't, I mean, you know, he's hit a bunch of field goals and we have, you know, like I said, we work, you're behind by 7, you're behind by 8, you're behind by 2, you're behind by 3. So we've worked, you know, a lot of different scenarios where he's come in and kicked field goals, yes. Whether it was a 54-yarder, I couldn't tell you, but he's hit some long ones, yes.
Larry, the NCAA has a quarterback rating, like an efficiency stat that they use. ESPN developed their own with the QBR. Is there, within your offense, is there specific things you look at your quarterback to determine efficiency?
Yeah, the only thing I'm looking at is he's taking care of the football. I mean, really, the rest of it, I mean, you know, I mean, that's kind of throwing it all in a, you know, one category, but, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's got to take the ball where it's supposed to go, he's got to distribute it, all those different things. But really, if he's taking care of the football, we know we got a chance.
This is going to be the, I think the first time you guys play, first time both teams are ranked, at least in Keenan, on Saturday since 2008, something like the fifth time in the past 30 years. So a pretty rare thing. What kind of atmosphere would you expect with that? What is that?
Oh, I think we'll have a great atmosphere. I don't doubt it. I think our you know, if you'd have seen all the people here the other night when the buses showed up, and it was exciting, and our kids loved it, and I expect the stadium will be packed and it'll be rocking out there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Is that kind of a sign of ascent playing a game with 2 ranked teams?
I hope so. I mean, I think that's you know, really for the players, it's just we're going to play Virginia Tech, whether we're ranked, they're ranked, you know. So, but for the fans, I think it's a neat deal.
Is there something more to beating a team in a quote marquee game? I mean, you talk about it all the time, treating everything like it's the same, but winning on the road at Florida State, like name brand recognition, is there something more? For
I think
your
you
team
get more national recognition, no doubt about it. And I think you anytime you go on the road and win, and then throw on top of it the 22-game home winning streak, the number 12 ranking. I mean, yeah, that makes it that much sweeter.
What about internally, though? I mean, is there anything? I mean, you
Sure
said
it
sweeter,
does.
but I mean, is there
Yeah.
anything with the guys that it changes or how they look at things?
You know, I don't know, because I would tell you that probably to a man, the 72 people that we took down there believed we were going to win a football game. I don't know if they knew it was going to come down to 4 seconds and a 54-yard field goal, but I really believe they all believed we were going to win a football game. So I don't know if they were surprised. You know, I think they were probably, if you asked them, they probably, if they were really being honest with you, they'd probably tell you they were surprised that it was that close, because they felt like they could have put it away.
At the same time, the national attention that you mentioned, do you have to remind these guys, hey, kind of tune it out, don't listen to the noise, because you're going to get patted on the back a lot more this week?
I mean, we talk about things like that. We talk about don't pay any attention to anybody when you're not doing well. So I mean, if you're gonna, I'll tell you what, if you're gonna accept all the pats on the back, then you got to take all the knives to the back too. And you got to be able to stand up and handle them. So really, it's easier for them if they just kind of put blinders on and don't pay any attention to any of it.
And they're still kids. How difficult is that to do, or have you kind of ingrained that in them enough that you're confident that?
I think it's still difficult for them. I mean, I think some of them will do a good job with it, and some of them won't, because they're kids, and so we're constantly talking to them about things like that, all the pitfalls that can happen.
I know you like to distinguish differences between the teams, but does it help that last year's team kind of had a pretty good whiff of this already, and dealing with the?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few guys, the leadership on our team, there's quite a few guys having experience with what happened last year, and all of that carries over to this year.
What pitfalls are you most concerned about happening, especially if you guys continue to win, continue to get this recognition, and it grows and it puts more pressure on the kids? What are the ones that you are most concerned about as far as those pitfalls you just mentioned?
The thing I'm most concerned about is getting the mistakes corrected that we are continuing to make in all three phases. Because if we can ever get that accomplished, I mean, you would see some fireworks out there. It would be pretty dang good. So, and that's the potential of this football team. And so we as coaches see it, I mean, I'm sure, on Sunday when we come in to watch a film, you guys, I'm sure, hey, beat Florida State and everything. Well, it's pretty gloom in that staff room. I mean, because everybody knows that you can't keep living on the edge like that. The odds are going to go against you at some point.
What is it about Virginia Tech that impresses you most?
Oh, wow. Justin's done a great job with them. First of all, Bud Foster's defense is like it always is every single year. I mean, they're stingy. It's tough. I mean, they do a tremendous job. And then Justin's brought in a more wide open offense with a quarterback that can beat you with his legs or his arm. I'm going to compare it to kind of some of the things that we do, on offense. And so it's, I think they've got a really good football team, a really good football team.
Somebody else?
Yeah, Tommy Hatton played a lot on Saturday. You have RJ Prince listed as a starter. What's going on there in terms of the right guard spot?
I mean, one or the other one's going to play, and maybe both.
And then also William Sweet and Nick Polino played a lot too. Is that just a health issue there with some players, or is that?
It was just, we felt like those guys have been doing a really good job in practice, and we said that if you're competing in practice, that you're gonna have an opportunity to get in the game. And even though it was that type of game, I think it says a lot about the coaches that they said, hey, if you're earning it, then you're gonna get some time, and they got some time.
They grade out well, those two guys.
They both did fine. I don't think they had a tremendous amount of plays, but both of them did well when they were in there.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right.